Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 9 p.m. English News Edition brought to you live from RTD channel. Let's begin with the top stories of tonight. The head of state receives the Somali Prime Minister today at the Presidential Palace. Discussion between the chairperson of the African Union Commission and the Qatari leadership in area. Those were the top stories, and welcome back in our newsroom. The president of Djibouti, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, met with a Somali Prime Minister during official visit this morning at the Presidential Palace. The president of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, received the Prime Minister of Somalia, Hamza Abdi Barre, who is on a working visit to Djibouti. And during their meeting, the two leaders discussed the strong relationship between Djibouti and Somalia. They did not fail to highlight the shared history, cultural ties, and a common language between the two friendly countries. The President and the Prime Minister of Somalia reviewed the cooperation between their countries, and they later talk about how Djibouti can support Somalia on its ongoing efforts to achieve peace and stability throughout the country. The Somali Prime Minister was accompanied by his technical advisor. Let's shift now to the National Assembly debates government's general policy. In accordance with Article 60 of the Constitution, the National Assembly held today's session to discuss the government's general policy. Presented by Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed on March 2nd, parliamentary groups are made up of 3 MPs, each delivered a presentation covering a wide range of topics, including the cost of energy and the effective use of renewable resources, social policy and mechanism for national solidarity, particularly in rural areas, regional disparity in infrastructure and public services, the development of social housing amidst the persistence of informal settlements, youth employment, and the national economic strategy, as well as governance, budget transparency, and institutional accountability. Following the policy debate, the National Assembly reviewed a draft law amending legislation on combating money laundering, terrorism financing, and the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. The bill was then submitted to a vote and adopted by a large majority. And at the end of the session, Speaker of the National Assembly, Dileita Mohammed Dileita, praised the quality of debates and the broad approval of the bill. And on the occasion of Eid al-Adha, he did not fail to extend his best wishes for success, health, and happiness to all parliamentarians, government members, and Djiboutian citizens. He also expressed his deep respect and appreciation for President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, and the First Lady, Khadra Mohammed Haid. In his opening remarks, Dileita Mohammed Dileita, President of the National Assembly, welcomed all MPs and government officials, emphasizing the importance of parliamentary oversight. The Vice President of the RPP Parliamentary The Vice President of the RPP Parliamentary Group expressed on behalf of his group appreciation for the holding of the session dedicated to reviewing the government's general policy. He stated that the RPP deputies had attentively followed the debates on key issues such as controlling energy costs, the development of renewable energies, social policy, national solidarity, and addressing regional disparity. He reaffirmed the group's commitment to supporting the government's efforts in social housing and combating informal settlement, emphasizing the importance of improving living conditions for the population. She also stressed the need for a coherent strategy for youth employment, presented as a fundamental lever for sustainable economic growth. The Vice President affirmed that the parliamentary group supported initiatives aimed at strengthening governance. And during the recent session at the National Assembly, several important questions were raised by MPs to government ministries. In this first part, the focus shifts to agriculture, water management, and the impact of climate change on farming practices in Djibouti. The first question was raised to the Minister of Agriculture. Mr. Minister, the Duda Wastewater Treatment Center was commissioned in early March 2025. The treated water is currently being used on agricultural plots in the Duda area. Is there a plan to extend, he said, this use to other farms, including those growing sensitive crops such as in the Humbuli area? Also, on behalf of my friend Saleban Daher, I would like to ask, in the context of global change and ongoing drought, how does the ministry plan to manage water scarcity both in remote areas and in the capital? And now the response from the Minister of Agriculture. The issue of water, he said, and drought is critical as the two are closely interconnected. Omar Hassan was particularly sensitive to this matter. May he rest in peace. Former President Hassan Guled Abtidon had made the fight against drought a national priority. Today, the current president, Ismail Omar Guelleh, has taken a different path under the leadership of Prime Minister. We have constructed 191 wells across the country, with 7 more currently underway. As for the farms in Duda, said the minister, as well as those in Werima, Gobat, and Karta, which we have recently taken over, studies are ongoing. A feasibility study is currently being conducted for the Humbuli area, and it is progressing well, concluded the minister. In this second part, attention turns to two key issues affecting citizens on a daily basis: access to civil registration documents and the government strategy to address youth employment. The question was asked by one of the MP. Minister, how can access to birth certificates be made easier for Djiboutian citizens, he said. Also, could you explain the government's youth employment policy in the current context? We have a transition from the old digital system to a new biometric one. While this system is more secure, it also introduced a stricter requirement for obtaining birth certificate, which initially created challenges for the population. In response, we adapted the new system to better align with our country's social structure. Today, the process has been streamlined. Citizens are now able to obtain their birth certificates not only in the capital, but also in the various regions of the country. And now the response from the Minister of the Interior with regard to youth employment in the Republic of Djibouti. This is a key priority for the government. We have reinforced vocational training programs, both for those still in school and for young people who are not currently in any formal training. Our mission is to build a sustainable future for our youth by equipping them with the tools they needed to either find employment or adapt to the demands of the labor market. To this end, we have significantly expanded the number of specialized training centers to help young people develop essential skills. In this third section, discussion focused on the result of the 2024 census in the Oboh region, as well as the distribution of the past social insurance card to weak persons. And after 14 years since the last census in 2009, the 2024 census reveals that the population of the Oboh region has remained stable at around 37,000 inhabitants, the same figure as in 2009. One of the MPs raised this question: can we really claim that the population of Oboh has not increased in 14 years? Has there truly been no growth even after a new census was just completed? Furthermore, Prime Minister, Minister, and members of the government, a special commission will be established to thoroughly analyze this result. This is crucial as the census data guide government policy in terms of development and economic recovery. I would like also to know whether the 2024 census was conducted comprehensively and in full compliance with the standard, as it appears that some essential aspects may not have been fully covered. And now the response from the Minister of Economy and Finances in charge of Industry, Ilyas Musa Dawali, said prior to the census, several preparatory operations were carried out to ensure the reliability of the data. 1 month before the question census, an awareness campaign informed the population about the importance of the process. In addition, he said a pre-census was conducted 7 months earlier. While it is true that not every building and individual was exhaustively recorded, the results obtained are highly consistent, said the minister. The data from the various census phase coverage through similar figures and the identified errors are minimal, with no significant impact on the whole population. And the second question from another MP was: Mrs. Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, could you explain why the distribution of the past social insurance card intended for low-income population has been suspended, especially as several cases of misconduct have been reported? In addition, can you outline your plan to resume the distribution process? You recently mentioned a slight delay, but it is critical. It is crucial that the issue be resolved promptly. And now the Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, Ulufa Ismail Abdul, responded as follows: the pass card is a vital tool that enables the most weak persons to access healthcare services. This card has already, she said, been distributed in some areas in the capital, but unfortunately beneficiaries in some zones still cannot fully benefit from it due to access issues. The temporary suspension was decided in order to investigate, she said, the reported irregularities and ensure transparency in the process. Swift measures have been taken to address this concern. All cases, she said, are now being processed rigorously. Law enforcement is involved to guarantee security and reliability, and we are receiving active cooperation from the relevant countries. We are therefore confident that the distribution will soon resume under proper conditions, allowing all eligible beneficiaries to fully access the support to which they are rightfully entitled, concluded the Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, Mrs. Ulufa Ismail Abdul. In his address, the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed acknowledged the importance of the topics raised during the session, emphasizing the government's commitment to addressing the key issues discussed. He did not fail to highlight that the recent census result will guide policy decisions and development plans, ensuring resources are allocated efficiently. Regarding social support programs such as the pass card distribution, he assured that measures were being taken to restore transparency and accessibility for vulnerable population. On youth employment, said the Prime Minister, reiterating the government's dedication to expanding vocational training and creating job opportunities for young people. Finally, he stressed the ongoing effort to manage water resources effectively, particularly in the face of climate change, including the construction of wells and improvement in agricultural water use. He finally expressed confidence that through continued collaboration between ministries and parliament, these challenges will be successfully overcome, concluded the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed. In accordance with the Article 12 and 21 of the Internal Regulation of the National Assembly, the Conference of Parliamentary Committee Chairs held a meeting this morning. It was chaired by Dilaita Mohammed Dilaita, President of the National Assembly, and the government was represented at the session by Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed and the Minister of Defense in charge of relation with the Parliament, Hassan Omar Mohammed. The parliamentary committee included the first vice president, the heads of the standing committees, and the rapporteur of the general budget. And the session mainly focused on referring two draft laws to the standing committees. And the president of the National Assembly stated that, in accordance in his speech with Article 12 and 21 of the Internal Regulation, the Conference of Presidents of the Parliamentary Committee had made under his chairmanship in the presence of the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed and the Minister of Defense responsible for relations with Parliament, Hassan Omar Mohammed. He explained that the meeting included the first vice president, the president of the standing committee, and the reporter of the general budget, and that the agenda mainly concerned the transition of the two bills to the competent committee. And the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed received today on Monday, late in the afternoon, in the honor launch of the Prime Minister's office, the WHO resident representative in Djibouti, Dr. Humana Hermez. This courtesy visit allowed a review of WHO's priorities in the country as part of its support for the modernization of Djibouti's public health system. The discussion highlighted the shared commitment to strengthening cooperation between Djibouti and the United Nations Organization with the aim of advancing equitable access to quality healthcare for the entire population. And among the topics discussed were notably the strengthening of health infrastructure, improvement of medical facilities, as well as the training and professional development of health workers. A special emphasis was also placed on the need to target the most weak persons, especially women, children, and refugees. And still with the national news, Djibouti's Minister of Muslim Affairs attended major Hajj conference in Saudi Arabia. The Minister of Muslim Affairs and Waqf Properties of Djibouti, Mumin Hassan Barre, is taking part in the 49th years of major Hajj conference. This year's theme is capability in Hajj and modern development. This yearly event brings together religious leaders, experts, and government officials from many countries. They discuss modern challenges in organizing the Hajj, especially the idea of capability in Islamic law, which defines who is able to perform Hajj. A key moment of the conference is a ministerial session titled Making Hajj a Right Easier and Empowering Pilgrims. According to the Kingdom Vision, several top Saudi officials are attending this meeting. The program also includes academic sessions, a meeting with the Hajj office leaders, and opportunities for dialogue and sharing experiences among the delegations by attending the Minister of Waqf, Mumin Hassan Barre, shows Djibouti's commitment to working closely with the Saudi Arabia. And at the 49th Major Hajj Symposium, the Minister of Muslim Affairs, Mumin Hassan Barre, from Djibouti, spoke about how Saudi Arabia is improving services for pilgrims. He also said Djibouti is working hard to give better spiritual and practical help to its pilgrims. He said that this meeting helps us think about how Hajj can grow and change in today's world. We need, he said, to follow Islamic rules but also keep up with new needs like safety, health, and good organization. The minister, Mumin Hassan Barre, added, every year Djibouti tries to do better for our pilgrims. Being part of this meeting shows how we want to meet the hopes of our fellow citizens. He also said that Muslim countries must work closely together. Hajj cannot be done alone. It needs all of us to share ideas and work as one. This meeting helps us plan for the future and learn from each other, has finally concluded the Minister Hassan Mumin. And now this magazine of tonight, the Hajj pilgrimage, stands as one of the most significant and deeply spiritual journeys in the Muslims' world. Let's watch this report.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة.
The Hajj, a journey of faith, unity and hope. There is a place on earth where borders disappear, where language falls silent to make way for a single prayer, where the rich walk side by side with the poor, where every step resonates like a call to the soul. It is here in Mecca, in these sacred sanctuaries of Saudi Arabia, that millions of pilgrims convert each year. From the four corners of the world, they came to answer an ancestral spiritual call, the Hajj, the fifth pillar of Islam. It is not just a journey, it is a rebirth. A man leaves his home, his family, his job, his comfort, not to flee, but to meet God, to seek forgiveness, purification, inner peace. During these few sacred days, every gesture becomes a prayer, every breath a reminder. The same white garment envelop all bodies without distinction. Man or woman, king or beggar, all are equal in front of God. Here we learn humility, we rediscover unity. All humanity seems to say we are one people under one Lord. The Hajj is a test, physical, mental, spiritual. Thousands of people work under a blazing sun. Others weep silently. Some pray for those they have lost. Many hope for a miracle, and when the moment comes to touch the Kaaba, to place their hands on its black walls, it is no longer just a dream comes true. It is a life turned upside down. There are millions of them. They came from the four corners of the earth, from Africa and Asia, Europe and America, the Middle East, and far beyond. They arrive by plane, by bus, sometimes on foot, tired, but their hearts beating with hope. They don't speak the same language. Some murmur their prayers in Arabic, others in French, Urdu, English, Turkish. But here, language matters little. There is only one language that matters, that of the heart, and their common denominators is faith, pure, simple, unshakable. It is faith that unites them. It is faith that guides them. It arises distance, differences, conflicts. It makes the Hajj one of the rare places in the world where humanity seems to rediscover its truest, most humble, most united face. men and women of all origins, of all walks of life, stands together under the same sky, called by the same God. Their voice mingle, their step match, their soul vibrates in unison. For here there are no more strangers, there are only brothers and sisters, and a single call, profound, which has resonate for countries. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. Here I am before you, Lord of the worlds.
Other news now. A major milestone for Djibouti's education sector was reached today at Excellence School, which hosted two key education events. The highlight of the day was the signing of a comprehensive cooperation framework agreement between the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training and the Ministry of Higher Education and Research. The agreement was officially signed by Mustafa Mohamed Mahmoud, Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, and Dr. Nabil Mohamed Ahmed, Minister of Higher Education and Research. This strategic framework covers a wide range of vital areas including action research, teacher training, professional development, and the prestigious preparatory classes for grade school. In his remarks, the Minister of National Education emphasized that the agreement responds to the pressing need for greater pedagogical alignment and aims to improve academic success rates at all levels. The collaboration is based on the principle of mutual complementarity between the two ministries to create a more coherent and efficient educational pathway for Djiboutian students. The Minister of Higher Education, underlining the spirit of cooperation, used a striking metaphor. The Minister of Higher Education and Research, Dr. Nabil Mohamed Ahmed, recalled that this agreement goes beyond a simple administrative framework. He explained that it represents a strategic commitment to building an integrated educational pathway where quality training and skills development are priorities. He also highlighted the symbolic nature of the agreement, describing it as a marriage certificate between the two ministries, reflecting their shared determination to serve Djibouti's youth, finally concluded the minister. And for his part, the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training stated that the framework agreement marks an important step in structuring the national education system. He emphasized that the partnership aims to ensure a better pedagogical coherence across different levels of education. And according to the Minister of National Education, this collaboration with the Ministry of Higher Education and Research will allow for pooling resources and better supporting students toward academic success. And the Sovereign Carbon Agency, in partnership with the Ministry of Environment, is supporting the initiatives of the National Union of Djiboutian Women. And this partnership aims to strengthen the role of women in protecting the environment and fighting against climate change. And as part of this support, the SCA has provided essential equipment to women involved in waste management, including wheelbarrows, shovels, rake gloves, masks, vests, and bins. And these tools will help improve their working condition and efficiency in the field. This initiative reflects a shared vision empowering women to take an active role in sustainable resource management, especially in urban areas. It also aligns with the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly in gender equality, sustainable cities and communities, climate action, and partnership for the goals. And through this initiative, SCA reaffirms its commitment to act locally while aiming for global impact. In his address, the Minister of Environment and Sustainable Development, Mohammed Abdul Qadir Musa, highlighted the importance of this partnership with the Sovereign Carbon Agency in supporting the union's efforts, particularly those that assist local communities. The goal, he said, is to provide support all the women working in waste and neighborhoods. And finally, the minister affirmed that the union is conducting many activities that we follow and support. We also thank, he said, the Secretary General of the National Union of Djibouti Women for honoring us with her participation in this event, which is one way to demonstrate her support for this project. Let's listen now to the Minister of Women and Family, Muna Usman Adana.
Here we are celebrating today the Environment Day with the Minister of Environment in collaboration with the Chairman of UNFD and the Climate Change Agency. This is a text that we have worked on, and we are working by assigning the civil society. When it comes to civil society, and we are talking about the local government, all citizens, wherever they are, can work to regulate the flow of waste garbage on anything that harms our environment. Therefore, the ministries we are working today are starting, and we hope that we can continue our work in many ways, both within the countries and within the city, so that we can work and collaborate with each other in order to strengthen the capability of women, especially youth.
Moving on now to the continental international news. From Darfur to Congo, a discussion between the chairperson of the African Union Commission and the Qatari leadership amid the major challenges facing the African continent, including armed conflict, political transitions, and demand for sustainable development. The chairperson of the African Commission, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, made an important visit to Doha to strengthen cooperation with the Qatari leadership. The Israeli-backed humanitarian aid system has failed. Gassira Ali tells us more.
The Israeli-backed humanitarian aid system has failed amid gunfire, famine, and international condemnation. The Israeli occupation army again opened fire on Palestinian heading to a center run by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation in Rafah, the southern Gaza, to receive humanitarian aid. In the past 24 hours, 3 Palestinians were killed and dozens wounded in southern Gaza, most of them 8 seekers west of Rafah. Israeli military patrol boat also fired at fishermen off the coast of Gaza City, wounding several Palestinians. Days after day, the famine in Gaza Strip worsened while the new Israeli-backed aid distribution system, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, and the organization operating outside the UN framework, despite its expertise in humanitarian affairs, demonstrate its abject failure.
So that's it for tonight news. Thanks for being with us and have a good night.